Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to American Dumpster Fire. This is Loki.
And this is Tyr.
And how do you like the way your White House has been lying to you? Do you enjoy that? Are they doing a good job?
To be honest, I think it probably works on their followers, but I don't especially like being gaslit on a daily basis.
You don't like that when Trump says one thing, that his press secretary goes and excuses it and says, well, he didn't mean that. He meant the opposite of what he said.
Literally, that's what they do. He will say something. He'll say, the sky is blue. And literally 5 seconds later, there's Kaylee on a fucking press conference. That's not what the president meant when he said that. You're taking it out of context. Why is the press always attacking the president? Blah, 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 blah. And then she will literally say the exact opposite of what is in writing or recorded on video that he literally said or did.
Kaylee, I will never lie to you, McAnany.
Gaslight Barbie.
Gaslight Barbie. Yeah. Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. And it's not just her, right? I mean, he's surrounded by apologists and sycophants and
people who will literally tell you that
rephrasers.
up and is down and left is right and twist reality in whatever fucking way that they need to suit their purposes.
Where us cutting your Social Security is really helping you and not hurting you. And
yes, literally Trump just recently tweeted about how he demanded that schools would be reopening in the fall and that students would be attending brick and mortar schools or he'd cut funding to them.
Right.
But
what that really means...
He threatened to cut their federal funding. And then according to Bullshit Barbie, what he really meant was that he'd be increasing their funding.
Right.
And then there was also the recent Supreme Court decisions on Trump's financials.
Oh, right. Well, now I didn't understand the whole thing. From my understanding, they're getting some of them, right?
So basically what the court ruling, from my understanding, was that the president is not above the law.
Yes.
That was the decision. Therefore, because he is not beyond prosecution, they remanded it back down to the lower court, which buys him time. So that is the one place.
So the Supreme Court isn't giving the documents up. They're saying that the lower court has the right to give the documents up.
They are saying, so they didn't just say Trump has to give his documents to Congress.
Right.
What they said was that the court, and I believe in this case it was the federal court, has the right to demand the information or to request the information.
But they framed it as a win, the White House.
Yes. For some reason, then they were talking about how Trump had won these cases and it was a win for the White House.
But let's...
much like they did with the DACA
right.
ruling, where the Supreme Court ruled that he couldn't end their... I don't remember, but it was basically we can't just boot them out of the country. And then Trump announced that was actually a win.
Well,
which, in a sense, it was because it gave them room to refile.
But somehow, at the same time, he's tweeting about how the Supreme Court is like...
Oh my gosh,
him.
if you had watched his tweets the morning of those Supreme Court rulings on his financials, it was a shit
Presidential
show.
harassment.
Presidential harassment.
Oh my God,
and
grow the fuck up.
Everybody's attacking me and blah, blah, blah. Like, you could tell just from the tweet started before the ruling even was public. So he knew something. Somebody had tipped him off or something.
It's like, what are you, 5?
But
grow up.
Oh my God! Every 5 seconds, it was all caps, and he's blowing up, and I'm like, "Oh, this is good," because you knew what was coming.
Yeah.
And then 5 seconds later, there comes Gaslight Barbie with her. Oh, well, this was a win for the Trump administration.
It is so predictable. President doesn't get his way. President throws temper tantrum. Gaslight Barbie comes and shifts it all around, and basically just lies. So that it's something not only the dumbest people among us believe the lies, but then they go out to the internet and spread and they don't just spread the bullshit, right? They go and dismantle the truth so that they could only present the parts that make it look like he might not be totally full of shit. Showing they know he's full of shit.
Yes, Trump and the mockery that is the White House literally has everybody believing that the entire investigation into him was complete bullshit and a hoax. And that the final Mueller report in which he literally said, had we believed that the president was innocent, we would have said that.
Right.
Had we believed he committed
Yeah,
no
Mueller
crimes,
went and defended his.
we would have said that. Only they didn't say that, which means he believes that there were crimes that were committed. People were literally convicted. The
Right.
president was literally impeached. And according to every one of their followers, because the president and Gaslight Barbie have come out, the White House has come out and said, oh, he's acquitted. There was no wrongdoing found.
That
and blah, blah,
never
blah.
happened.
There's literally... it's got nothing to do with reality.
Right.
They live in a bubble of bullshit. And
Oh, I know.
their supporters just eat it up.
The one day I said still impeached on Twitter, and people were like, no, he wasn't. He was acquitted. No, he wasn't. He was impeached.
But the press will even use the words acquitted. The press does.
Well, I mean,
And
depend.
that's the
Are you
thing.
using press loosely, like OANN and Fox or Press?
No.
Because they're not.
It's not OAN and Fox. I have seen other news outlets.
Yeah, some of them are
Use the
sloppy.
word
Some like there's a
acquitted.
New York Times writer who's a real piece of shit. I don't remember his name or whatever.
They're scattered here and there, and I'm so fucking tired of the ass kissing. I have seen here and there where one of these press people will get more aggressive with them,
Sure.
but for the most part, they're way too light in the way they handle them.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: is that there was a time when I was a kid that I had wanted to be a journalist, and I realize now that had I become a journalist, because I get so frustrated watching these press conferences and the softball questions that
Yeah.
they're throwing at them, and I realize now that had I become a journalist and had anything to do with the White House, I would have been pitched out the door like fucking
Oh yeah.
Jazzy Jeff on Fresh Prince.
Who's the one guy? Is it Acosta? That kind of gets a little tough on him once in a while, and
There's a few.
but you can't get if you get too tough on him, you get tossed. You're not allowed to come back,
That's
which I
the
didn't even think
thing.
you could do.
I didn't think they could do that
But-
either.
But I mean, there are times where I'm watching this, and I've stopped watching. It's not even worth it because all they're going to do is lie to you. I don't even know why
It's
they're
so
sending press
blatant.
people to the White House.
It's so
Stop
blatant.
covering him. Stop fucking covering him because it doesn't matter. He's just going to lie to you.
I
but,
feel, yeah.
But I feel like if I was in the press pool with them, there would be a point where I would be clutching the sides of my skull, yelling, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
Right? And like that's my point, is that I just want to like you're lying about shit that is like right there for everybody to see.
They're lying about shit that you're like, why are you lying about
Why
this? It
don't
doesn't
you-
even make sense.
Yes, why don't you have the recording of the exact opposite when they said it previously,
Well,
like
I mean,
right
that's
on your phone to play for her when she's lying and covering for Trump?
How many times do the journalists have to say, we literally have this on record? This is literally on video or audio.
Oh my
We-
God, it was so great. The one time, it was like literally not that long ago. But, oh God, and I wish I could remember the topic. But Kaylee made a comment about something. And word for word, a reporter put her quote up on Twitter. And she retweeted it and she said, don't be misleading. This is what I meant to say or whatever. She's like, she basically attacked his reporting. And he responded with, I quoted you verbatim,
Right.
That was the thing is don't attack reporters for reporting exactly
Yeah,
what you
if that's
fucking
not what you meant,
said.
why'd you say it?
Mind you, there's a recording to go with his quote.
Right.
There is literally, it was attached to a video of her saying these words.
Right.
It's not like, oh, don't be misleading. You said that.
Right.
It's
No, no,
right there.
I
It's
almost feel like
recorded.
The GOP should have to pay for the deprogramming of their people when this is all
Oh
done.
my
Because you have
God.
created a cult. You have damaged the psyche
But they did
of
it
as
on
much as a
purpose.
third of our population. You have hurt these people. And,
In a country where there is no mental health care coverage.
right, it's like, you should have to help deprogram these people. They are victims of what the
They are
GOP has done to
victims.
this country.
Yeah.
With because, and don't make any mistake, companies like OANN and Fox and stuff like
Oh,
that,
Facebook had their hand in this.
and Facebook, right? They did this on purpose.
Yes, for sure.
They lied on purpose. They gaslit these people on purpose. They weaponized idiots,
They did. They weaponized stupidity.
and they need to pay for that. And
But they
I think financially, they should have to pay.
I think that they should be sued on a mass scale. They're literally killing people
I
right
mean,
now.
potentially, we should sue them to start a funded mental health care system in America. because they are responsible for as much as a third of it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that I don't think that people fully grasp. Like the prior to the 2016 campaigns, these people were targeted.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that a lot of people don't know that. That these campaign experts literally went looking for people who were a little too rigorously religious,
Right.
and gullible, and who were conspiracy theorists, people who were going to be easy to manipulate.
Right.
And that's really easy to do when you take all of this information off of Facebook.
Well, certain people accept.
And this is where Cambridge
Bad information.
Analytica had their hands in things
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, they look for people gullible enough to buy all this stuff. These people don't need facts. They need a place that looks fact-ish.
And a scapegoat.
They need something that looks legit enough. But it doesn't need to actually be factual. It doesn't need to
Correct.
rate well or anything like that. And they knew who to target. And it's a lot of people, And they see
is.
themselves as victims.
Mhm.
And they just need somebody to blame for everything. And so they gave them liberals to blame. That's
And
why,
Obama.
Yeah, and Obama.
And Hillary.
Oh, they don't look like me. So
Right. And a woman.
Oh,
a
yeah.
black man and a woman.
A woman who doesn't know her place? Come on. We
Right.
gotta attack that.
Right. And so, these people were, and probably a lot of them were not good people to start with. In fact, I know that most of them were not good people to start with.
Yeah, I mean, when I really analyzed my friends who fell for this,
Mhm.
I really noticed these weren't good people all along.
Right.
I overlooked the negative traits, but now they're weaponized.
Right. And that's the thing, is that these people were specifically targeted for a reason. They were specifically manipulated for a reason. These weird rumblings that you hear about Deep State and oh god, Pizzagate,
Yeah, I
and
know.
QAnon, and
Guys,
all this stuff.
That pizza shop doesn't have a basement. that conspiracy literally requires that pizza shop have a basement, and it does not have one.
But that doesn't matter. Facts don't matter,
Yeah.
and that is the problem. Is that these
But talk about weaponized idiots. A guy went in there with a machine gun, ready to kill everybody there because he thought that there was a pedophile ring in the basement.
right, and that seems so crazy. But when you see how these things tie into everyday things that we're dealing with, it's not funny. It is not funny at all, because we're talking about this ongoing gaslighting coming from the White
Right.
House. Anybody who's been in an abusive relationship should be recognizing this behavior.
Right.
And it's coming from our motherfucking White House.
Right. Well, that's the thing. QAnon can be anybody, right? I mean,
Well, there's actually articles out that they know that the original QAnon bullshit started with Russian accounts.
right.
They came in and they started pushing their propaganda. And honestly, that completely ties in with everything else that we've seen, because we know that they're trying to manipulate us. And we know that they've got a foothold.
But so the smart thing that they did was they mixed in news and bullshit, right?
Right.
So they took actual news and then they took bullshit, the stuff that they wanted to start to whip these crazies up, right? So they're like, oh, but a certain percentage of it's real. Well, yeah, but they literally just took news. Like, I can buy that news too. We as a podcast can get in on this news pool and purchase this news as it's breaking, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we can seem legit in that regard.
And then make up literally everything that we want about that.
And then, yeah, you just start making
You
up
just
crazy
start tying
conspiracy.
in stuff.
And
it's
that's
like
what QAnon did.
InfoWars and Fox News paved the way for these things to happen. And the Facebook was a useful tool.
Right.
And Cambridge Analytica and everything, and
And-
helped them find their target audience. And then they just started feeding
And the next thing you
this
know,
craziness.
Hillary's emails are responsible for the gay frogs.
Right.
So, and it's like, but if you really read any of it, none of it says that, because they can't read more than a paragraph or two, first off. So all they do is accept the summary that some person manipulating them.
Now, I want
Put
you
up.
guys to understand how deep the crazy goes, because I literally found somebody posting on Twitter because they're tying in Pizzagate. And what was that theory? Like trafficking? It was human trafficking, right? Out of a pizza
Yeah,
shop.
like a pedophile ring
that
and human
somehow like
trafficking.
tied in the Clintons and all
Out
that
of the
stuff.
basement of a pizza shop that somehow the Clintons were supposedly involved in. Right.
And so now they're trying to tie in Tom Hanks because he was in Toy Story, and Pizza Planet appeared in multiple different movies. Now we all know that Pixar puts little Easter eggs in all their movies where they, you know,
right. By and large is in multiple, and
and they tie in stuff like that all the time. It's a little thing for their viewers to catch. And yet somehow QAnoners have decided that it is somehow tied into Pizzagate and Disney's in on it.
right.
And I'm not saying Disney is an innocent organization or an evil organization in any way. What I'm saying is that these people tied in fucking cartoons to Pizzagate.
Yeah, but everybody knows that the true evil is in the Small World ride. So,
It's a little bit crazy. Okay, it's a lot bit crazy. And if you really want to be a little bit more terrified about all of this stuff going on with QAnon, because they literally have people recording these oaths. And it is some sort of like some sort of government oath, and then they tack on some bullshit at the end. And then they have their little cult followers posting videos of themselves taking these oaths and then posting them on social media and then encouraging their friends to do the same, thus spreading the cult mindset. And then they have their little hashtags, and you'll see some of this QAnon stuff. You see them blaming literally everything on Obama and Hillary. They're accusing them both of, you know, all kinds of ridiculousness.
Meanwhile, there's no actual evidence of anything they say.
But there's actual evidence of all sorts of crimes being committed by Trump, and they're convinced that he's their savior.
Right.
And you see the WWG1GA or whatever it is, the where we go one, we go all, and all this. Like, it's fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's terrifying.
They are batshit insane.
They're completely batshit insane. And to make things even worse, they're running for office. And if you really want to be scared, they're winning the nominations.
Well, and that's why a lot more Democrats are saying we need 2 tests. We need a mental health test before you can be...
And an IQ test.
And an IQ test. Now, I'm not...
I wouldn't mind a drug test.
The IQ tests, and I've taken a few, and... fine, okay, it does give... If you're crazy, you're probably not going to do great on it.
I don't think it has to be an IQ test.
But I don't think it's...
I think it has to be a basic knowledge of... If you're going to make rulings on women's biology,
yes.
It has to have applicable information.
Right.
If you can't answer
basic
shit about our government...
I'd rather an aptitude test so we understand where you're... So the guy who scores really poorly on law maybe shouldn't be helping make laws.
Exactly.
Or help sign the guy
I
up
will
for
tell
classes.
you this much. With all the ranting that Trump was doing on Confederate soldiers and statues and blah, 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 I do not know that he knows that the Confederacy was defeated by America.
He doesn't know anything. Most people don't even know the Confederacy only lasted 5 years.
I know.
So, that's my heritage. Is 5 years a heritage, or is the 240 years of slavery
it's not your heritage?
Which is heritage?
Yeah,
Pick
that's
one.
that's the bottom line. It's the slavery that you're representing, because Confederacy is not heritage.
No.
That's 5 minutes of fighting against
And most of you
America.
didn't belong.
Are you American or are you a Confederate? Because the American heritage is tearing down the Confederacy.
Right.
Fuck the statues.
Yeah. Screw your traitor ass.
Right. So yeah. No, I wasn't convinced that Trump really understood that the Confederacy was defeated.
He has no idea what he's talking about on anything. He's an
Yeah.
idiot.
So yeah, I think that an aptitude test on those types of topics would be
Right. So mental health, aptitude,
yes, those
things
kinds of things. Because right now there is
and 10 years of tax returns.
yeah, I think that if you have any kind of like fraud or anything like that, you should not be
Right. If your shit's sketchy, sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean you have to have a criminal background to get into other positions. Why do we hold our fucking leaders to a lower standard?
Drug test, criminal background exam.
The president should have.
I had to do all that to be in a... Now, not the tax returns part.
Yeah.
But I've had to have a physical and background check and drug test and all that to be in the medical field. So if I've got to do all that shit, you should have to do all that shit to be in politics.
Dude, there is a QAnon crazy in, I want to say it's Florida, who's currently running for office as an independent, and he is like just constantly spewing the most ridiculous stuff you've ever seen. That Beyonce is not black. She's really Italian. All kinds of things about K-pop and TikTokers being terrorist organizations. I mean, he is freaking out there.
Well, this is one of the problems with right-wingers right now is they all think that they can accuse anybody that disagrees with them of being a terrorist organization now.
Yeah.
Because Trump declared Antifa a terrorist organization. Meanwhile, I think like one person has died ever from Antifa. So...
Okay.
Like one.
I mean, truly, I don't think that there have ever been anybody attacked by a trans person in a bathroom.
No.
And yet that
But
was a
plenty of-
war that they took on.
But plenty of trans people, by the way, have been attacked in bathrooms by men.
Absolutely.
So maybe you're on the wrong side of history.
So anyway, basically we have this entire purposeful ignorance movement that has taken over. I mean, purposely has been taken.
Right.
It's taken over a piece of our population, and now they're trying to move into power
Right.
in government positions, and it's a little bit freaking terrifying. And mind you, these same people are the same ones spreading conspiracy theories about how masks are harmful and literally increasing the spread of the
Listen,
coronavirus.
They'll make up anything. They literally make up anything to just.
Right, but here's
be a
my
conspiracy.
thing. Who benefits from Americans dying from the virus?
Right.
Who benefits from that? Because how are they not gathering that there's probably foreign interference
Right.
in the information that they're
Yeah.
getting?
No doubt. I mean, there is likely a Russian influence that is. And I've been saying for a while, we're at war with Russia and we don't know it. It's a new kind of war.
And
Okay.
they've been swearing they'd destroy us from within for 50 years.
So that's the thing.
No, 80 years? I don't know. But it's been a long ass
We're
time.
at war with Russia and don't even know it. Russia has been attacking us through our social media and other means. It's causing terrorist attacks by our right-wing psychopaths, and because of the they're propping up the anti-gay movement in America. They're propping up the racial move. The
Right.
white
White
supremacist
supremacists.
movement and stuff like that. I mean, they're propping up these extremist religious movements and stuff like that. They're behind alt-right. They're the ones. They're installing people into the National Prayer Breakfast every year to meet with American politicians and stuff like that. This is you're under attack from Russia, whether you like it or not.
Right.
Whether you see it as a war or not. They're doing this, and we're caught with our pants down.
Right. And the thing is that these people who are like legit conspiracy theorists are sitting here telling everybody, you're only believing what the media is telling you. Why aren't you thinking for yourself? And the bottom line is, why aren't you thinking for yourself?
Right.
Surgeons and medical professionals have worn masks for hours on end, constantly every day.
Right.
For how long? And it has caused them zero damage. Meanwhile, people are literally dying from a virus all over this country that other countries have controlled by masks and social distancing. Use your fucking head.
And they're talking about how you're being brainwashed by wearing a mask. You're being brainwashed. It's a symbolic muzzle. But meanwhile, these same people go to church every week. These same
Right.
people tune into their right wing nutbag show from whoever it is,
They're
Alex
like
Jones or
being
Glenn Beck.
manipulated blatantly.
They're seeking out their own manipulation.
and calling other people sheep, and it's a little bit frightening.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the only other thing we were going to touch on was the whole uprising about cancel culture and censorship and this letter, this Harper's letter that was signed by, I want to say it was like 150 different people calling out people for cancel culture.
So let's break this down. So J.K. Rowling doesn't like that people have a say on what she said.
That people called her out for being a TERF, yes.
Right. So she would like to cancel your
your
boy
ability to reply.
to cancel her, right? So I mean, look, this is how you don't like capitalism in that regard, right? Because it is our capitalist right to decide what lives and dies.
Here's my thing. I understand the stance against censorship.
But it's not
This
censorship.
is not that.
No.
That is not what's happening here. You aren't being censored. You have as much a right to speak as anybody else. You literally do. But so do your consumers.
Right.
And if they speak with their money, that's on them. That is their right to do so. They have a freedom of speech just as much as you do. You have the right to say what you want. You have the same rights as everybody else. They have a right to respond in the way that they want because that is freedom of speech.
Right.
Nobody is censoring you because they don't agree with the dumb shit you said.
You're free to say what you like. You are not free from social consequences of what you say.
Correct. And so basically they're trying to call out, I guess there was a couple of situations where they're saying, well, they're being silenced because one of them was
Grow
the
up.
Tom Cotton op-ed thing
Yeah.
where I want to say that the editor didn't read the article before he published it. Now, here's the thing. This is when I don't.
Why would anybody trust Tom Cotton?
Tom Cotton? He was like literally inciting violence.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit.
Yeah. So I mean, honestly, I'm sure he didn't say anything I wouldn't have expected, but I didn't read the article.
Oh no, Tom Cotton.
This is actually one that I don't agree with. I don't think that we should, because it was like a newspaper kind of media situation. I don't think that we should block out all kinds of information that we don't want. At the same time, he was inciting violence in his tweets, so I doubt that article was any better. I don't think that's why the guy got fired, though. I want to say he stepped down because of pressure because he published something that he didn't consider.
Well, yeah, read your shit. I mean, if you're the editor,
I don't know.
this is your job.
Right. Bottom line, you still weren't silenced. You have a right to say whatever you want to say.
Right.
You can say it on Twitter. You can say it on start yourself a website. Do whatever you want. Bottom line is that your newspaper, whoever it was, I want to say New York Times. I'm not positive.
Maybe.
Your newspaper is not obligated
Nope.
to represent your opinions or to
Are they
give you a voice.
Are they obligated to mine? Do I get to now write something
point.
in?
That is my point. There was another one where there was a book where it was, I want to say, a white person who wrote it, and they did a lot of non-white characters. And then instead of doing a good job, doing their research and getting the voice authentically, they represented a lot of racist stereotypes.
Oh yeah.
And then their book got canceled. Well, basically, you put out a product that people didn't like. No one's obligated to buy your product.
Nope.
If I made anything that consumers didn't like, nobody would be obligated to purchase my product.
No company is obligated to do anything for you.
Your
they are in
publisher,
business.
if you wrote a bad book, your publisher is not obligated to sell it.
No matter how many books you've written and published before it, if this one is not good, no obligations.
So again, I say you are not being silenced. You are not being censored. You, like a million other amazing authors out there, can go self-publish your book, and you can write whatever crap you want in whatever racist way that you want, and you can put it out there.
But I mean,
You're not being censored.
even look. All that aside, you can go out. You can walk outside your door, and you can say anything you want.
Yep.
And nobody's stopping you from doing that. But nobody has to listen to you. Nobody is obligated to work with you. Nobody is obligated to do anything for you in any way, shape, or form. You can say what you like, but there are consequences. Maybe not legal ones, because that's what the First Amendment's actually about. The government can't do anything about your stupidness, but the rest of us don't have to put up with it.
Right. So basically, everybody who's bitching about cancel culture, what they're actually wanting is to be able to say whatever they want from their place of privilege, be it their platform or whatever it is.
And you just have to take it.
And they want you to not respond in your negative way or use your consumer power
Well, they want their
to affect their ivory towers.
they want their echo chamber to build a nice crust around them so nothing can hurt them.
They want no consequences for their actions. And to
Right.
that, I say, fuck that.
Grow
We're
up.
Americans. We have a right
Right?
to respond in the way that we are
Now-
going to respond.
The only thing I will say is I do not condone violence in any of this. Okay, and there have been a few cases where violence is broken out, like Milo Yiannopoulos. Now Milo's a piece of shit. Okay, but the violence is uncalled for. You know. Now, on the other hand, if it's in self-defense, whole different story. Have at it.
Sure. No, I agree with you. Nobody should be harming people, the death threats and things like that.
Yeah, that's
but
crazy.
I will say that every time this whole, anti-trans rhetoric is brought up again on Facebook, courtesy of another J.K. Rowling, drama, I see Harry Potter fans come out of the woodwork to start attacking trans people.
Which is disgusting.
I mean, they're human. How about you stop? Just shut up. If you're not, a trans man or woman or non-binary, whatever it is, then just nobody needs your opinion.
Right.
I get that you're obsessed with these books and you want to defend your author and blah 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 blah. But I mean, the bottom line is you don't need to. You're canceling other people.
Honestly, her stance on the whole thing ruined the Harry Potter universe for me. I'm just done with it.
I honestly have never followed her, and
no, I've read all the Harry Potter books. I've seen the movies. I liked Fantastical Beasts, but I will not be watching the
I
last
liked
one.
Fantastic Beasts, but basically, I'm kind of over her as a person.
Yeah.
And
Hell, even Stephen King called her out.
he did. And as of this whole, I don't know, like the drama started, and I just saw people everywhere like just start this war against trans folks, and I was like, this is gross.
Yeah.
And I just nope.
Yeah. I mean,
I
whoever
think I
thought
was done with it at that point.
whoever thought Harry Potter fans would be the toxic culture of today.
Right. And I don't think they all are. But I think that some were like just so weirdly defensive of her
Right.
that they felt the need to attack other people, and it was gross. There's no better word for it. It was gross.
Well, guys, grow up. Nobody owes you shit. Censorship and free speech only apply to the government. That's just how it is. Sorry. We owe you nothing.
I will take it a step further and say that, consumers can't censor you. We can tell you to shut up, but you always will have a platform. The
Yeah.
same one that everybody else has.
Right. You haven't been canceled.
Right.
I mean, that's just we voiced our opinion to the opposite.
Right.
You're still a millionaire. Live with that.
Right.
So, all right. Do we have anything else?
Nope.
Okay, guys. Don't forget to check us out at r/American Dumpster Fire on Reddit. Fire_American on Twitter. We have a Facebook group. Go check it all out. You can find us almost any place podcasts can be found and on YouTube. So we will see you next week.
Bye.